Hey guys, welcome back to another Weird Wednesday. I'm Ashers, and this is
Pet O.
Pat. Oh, how was your weekend?
It was all right. It was all right. I finished the quarry, which I know I touched upon last week, but I wanted to give another plug because it was a awesome gaming experience. Featuring friend of the show Ted Ramey, and there's also a subplot involving a paranormal slash conspiracy podcast hosted by a plucky female paranormal investigator and
Oh,
her skeptical comedic relief male co-host. So it fired on a couple different cylinders for me. I won't give away what the monsters are because there's obviously it's like a horror game, so there's monsters in it, and it is kind of a reveal. So I don't want to say it, but if you're a fan of the show and you know me and the content that I create, then it hit right home. It was perfect. It was the perfect monster choice for me, and it's a really good game, and I love it. And if you're a fan of paranormal, conspiracy, true crime podcasts, and video games, I think you, dear listener, will like it as well. So I'm definitely giving a recommendation.
a lot of
Uh,
people have been talking about it.
yeah, I mean, I didn't know that there was. I guess there's this game company that's making like a whole bunch of these. There's one Until Dawn that I never,
Oh yeah.
I'm not a super huge gamer, but like that I guess came out a year or two ago, and it was very similar, and people love the shit out of it. Um, so yeah, it was cool. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Well, good.
But yeah, I did that, and then I also this weekend breezed through Saucers Over Appalachia by Willie B. Van Huss, the co-host of this year's Wytheville UFO Fest. It's where I picked up a copy there. They were selling them, and I kind of grabbed it, and it sat in my pile of books, and I burned through it this weekend. And I got to say, it was an excellent fucking read. Um, he's a great writer. I was not that I was amazed, but those fucking self-published. It could be
Oh
anything in
sure,
life.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was very well written. Number one, and number two, it made me. So the first half of the book, he kind of goes through the UFO flap of 1973 and talks about. There's a lot. There's oh my god, there was so much stuff. I always read books after the fucking fact, after we do the episode. But that Pascal, it was for Weird World. That abduction that happened with
Um,
the
so the Pascagoula, we did an
yes,
episode on the Wednesday show. We
okay,
did the Tin Man from
yes,
Alabama
okay. So
on the
he
Weird
touches
World.
upon he touches upon that whole thing, and there was some new info that we didn't talk about. It wasn't nothing groundbreaking, but it was just neat to read the actual articles, and then he talks about all of the there was a couple hoaxes that came out of that too that were included in the flap at first. And I don't want to give away the book. Read the fucking book. It's really good. I hope he does a series of them going over different flaps from different parts of the United States over different decades and stuff. Because, like I said, the first half is narrative where he writes out kind of what happened, and then the second half of the book he actually reprints the newspaper articles from that time, so you can read, how it was being covered in the press and stuff, and you'll get a lot of anecdotes from witnesses and a lot of like one-off encounters. People were reporting seeing like burning four-story houses floating in the sky, and
Yeah.
it not just one person, it was like a couple different people, and then in one instance it was like half a dozen different people in different parts of the same small town saw it. Like, it was crazy, and like that's not like a standard craft thing. Like, you don't like floating burning blue houses and shit, but like that's what a whole bunch of people saw over the course of like different nights and stuff. So great book.
Yeah, I did a because I just recorded Mothman Prophecies chapters 3, 4, and 5 for the Patreon, and I did like an offshoot talking about like different types of craft that people see, and saying that like how the discs are probably the more popular. Like that's what you think of when you think of UFO, you think of a flying saucer. But then I talked about like some of the other types and some of the weird shit that people see in the sky. Anyway, yeah, that's by what is it called? The book.
Saucers Over Appalachia by Willie B. Van Huss.
And that is we've talked about him before. That is Mr. William, Brian, Ryan, Christopher, Robin, from Mystic Novelty Co. That's who it is.
Right. Fucking
He's got a second book, I believe. I'm almost positive. I've been wanting to buy that one. I read that one. I've been wanting to buy it for a while, but it's so silly. Every single time, I'm like a spoiled brat now with my books, and I won't buy them unless they're autographed by the author. And every time we have an event together, I like never see him at the booth ever. And it's like I could just buy the book and then just like bum rush him, be like, you need to sign this, but or do it afterwards at the at the after party of these events. I just haven't been able to yet. So I'm gonna make it a point.
yeah. I mean, we were drinking tequila in the parking lot
Yeah.
with that guy,
Right.
and I just thought he was the guy with the alien skull tequila. But I would definitely. He's a very good writer, and I hate coming back to that, but like it was like reading, because it's a topic that I give a shit about. Number one, but number two, he has a certain command of the English language that not isn't always there when you're reading self-published books about ufology.
I
Like,
gotcha.
yeah, he's a very clever dude and very good writer, and I appreciated that. And like I said, I blew through the thing probably in less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
I think I read it half one night, went to bed, woke up, took a shit, read the other half. Like it was pretty good. So I want to recommend that to our audience as
Sure.
well. And
Sure.
then some other stuff. Game Hole in Madison, Wisconsin, October 20th through the 23rd. We registered for that this weekend, and me and Tobias Wayland and Emily Wayland are going to get to all do a game together Friday night, which I'm super stoked about.
Oh, heck yeah.
So yeah, Wisconsin people, be on the lookout. I'm going to try to reach out to Adam, Pine Barrens Institute,
Yeah.
see if he wants, because he lives right around there too. And I got some free time that weekend here and there. See if he wants to get together and do some Beast of Bray Road stuff.
Sure.
And
That'd be
then
neat.
what else? Oh, 48 Hour Film Project here in Chicago. Finally announced the dates, September 23rd through the 25th. If you live in Chicago or you want to come to Chicago and you're interested in participating in the 2022 48 Hour Film Project, how it works is we get together Friday night, we come up with an idea for a movie, we shoot it all day Saturday, and then we edit it, and it has to be done by Sunday night. So you're basically doing everything from pre to production to post in 48 hours. This is like my 7th or 8th year doing it. So it's a pretty well-oiled machine at this point. But some of the best stuff comes from random people that come out for their first year. I mean, we got a team of people that always work on it, but we're always looking for new voices and talent. So if you're in Chicago and you're interested, or if you live nearby and want to just come out for the weekend and hang out, Chicago is the Paris of the Midwest. You can get to town on Friday, film what you got to film on Saturday, and then go look at the fucking bean or whatever Saturday night and try not to get shot.
Look at the bean.
Yeah, in Millennium Park, there's like that bean that people take the picture in front of.
I don't know
It's
what
not. I don't know. It's this metal. It's literally
bean.
like this like stainless steel metal bean that people take pictures.
I think
of
I know what
them.
you're talking about.
Yes, that fucking thing.
So is it a bean?
Well, I don't know what it's supposed to be. I think it's like a sculpture. It's like art, but it looks like a bean. So people
Oh
just
my
call it the
God.
bean.
Fucking artists, like I fucking sculpt a bean and be like, this is my art. You know how much money that fucking artist probably made off that fucking thing? A bean.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, it was.
Pisses me
It was
off.
there for like a decade before I finally took my kid to go see it. When I worked in the hospitality industry, people would ask me all the time where it was. I'm like, I don't fucking know. I live here. Like, you don't actually go to that stuff. You know what I mean?
Where's the
And
bean?
I'm like,
I'm gonna come to Chicago just to flick the bean.
just to get you just to find the bean. Well, hey man,
No, just to flick the bean, just to say that I did. I flicked the
let's go
world's
there and
largest
plug it.
bean
Man. Yeah.
in Chicago. Just to be a
There's
T-shirt.
no better tour guide to finding the bean than good old friend Pat O'Sullivan. Last thing I want to talk about real quick is the foot calendar. So here's the deal: we had like 4 people reach out to us this past week alone, wanting to participate in the on Wednesdays we talk weird slides like foot calendar idea. So this thing is like 90% gonna happen. We just really need a couple more people, and I mean we could do it now because we have 6. So if everyone contributes 2 photos, they got 2 feet. Boom, we got enough for the foot calendar. If anyone else is interested, this is the last call because this train's pretty much leaving the station. Although I wouldn't mind getting a few more folks just to kind of pad it. just in case some people don't deliver, or just in case people send us shitty photos or something. Um, so yeah, reach out. We have enough. We have enough dudes at this point. This will not be a strictly female calendar. I do got to say this.
Don't
Someone
tell
reached
people
out.
that. They won't buy it.
Someone, yeah, well, it's no. We have, as of right now, we have females, males, and non-binary people represented
Good.
as foot models. I would like to see more females, though. That's just my personal preference. I had a dude reach out to me on Twitter this weekend and asked to be a part of it, and I was like, you know what? I'll give his Twitter. You can go follow him if you want. Is alive Johnny. Johnny is alive at twitter.com. And he goes. He asked if he could participate. I said, hey, thanks. We already have enough dudes, and we're kind of looking just for chicks. And he goes, all right, it was worth a shot. Love the show, by the way. Asher's might be prettier than you, but you're my favorite. Which, thank you. You're absolutely right. Asher's is definitely the looks of the two of us, but I am the brains and personality. So I'm glad our listeners have picked up on that.
The entire brains and personality. Yep, that's fine.
Right.
I'm just the tits. That's it.
That's why you have like 3,000 Instagram followers.
That's why
I have 240 or something.
Well, show your tits more, Pat. I mean, you get that's the secret. Pull out a nipple. People love that shit.
Oh my God, October 2020.
I'm telling you.
I know, it was a very good month for Instagram. Go back.
I mean, I'm just saying. No,
just go back.
I think that's
nipple
great.
popping through fishnet. That's my favorite. That is my favorite
nipples.
look. Is when there's fishnet and that errant nipple just kind of pops through.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all about that. I love some tasteful nudes. That's my favorite.
Yes, very tasteful. Very, very, very tasteful.
That's the kind that I prefer to take. If I'm going to take any, So
I can almost smell the coconut oil and body glitter right now.
Oh Jesus.
My daughter's spending the weekend. I have her this is my week that I have her in the summer, and I swear to God, she showed up smelling like a stripper.
Oh Jesus!
I was like, "What the fuck are you wearing?" I'm like, "You're not allowed to wear that over here anymore." Having fucking flashbacks to the Admiral, whatever that smell is. You know what I'm talking about?
Triggers you. No, I've never been to a strip club.
But that stripper smell. It's like
coconut
oil, like sweet
smell.
It's like Clinique Happy meets like oil of Olay or some shit. I don't know.
Bakery.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my weekend. How was yours?
It was okay. So Wednesday I finally saw Jurassic World. Finally.
What'd you think?
You were so right. I was telling my mom what you were saying about it in the car, and on the way back from the UFO festival, and she was cutting it up. She thought that was hilarious. Because it is 100% just Chris Pratt holding up his hand, controlling a bunch of dinosaurs that he's never met before in his life.
or just the gravitas that they try to give the character of Alan Grant, like Alan Grant back on screen for the first time with everyone else, and you're just like,
and then he didn't do anything the whole movie, and it's like, what the fuck?
It's not the same as when Han Solo, like in Phantom and Force Awakens, when Han Solo walks onto the Millennium Falcon, and you're like, holy shit, it's Han and Chewie back on the Falcon. That had like weight to it.
Yeah.
Jurassic World did not have that weight when they got the two casts together. You were just like, okay, whatever.
No, and it wasn't. I mean, it was a bunch. At one point in the movie, me and my mom are just kind of fucking laughing because we're like, what is even happening right now? Who are these people? They kept talking about this guy Santos, and we never met that guy ever, ever. And we didn't know. I guess, maybe I was just confused, and maybe we did meet him at some point. It just fucking happened so quick. There was so much shit that didn't need to be in it. And I wanted to see more dinosaurs. And that was the thing. When you leave off, and I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody. I mean, fuck, it's a Jurassic Park movie. There's dinosaurs and people.
Right.
But when we left off on the last movie, I was excited to see more of dinosaurs in the world. Right?
Yes.
That's what I wanted to see. And I didn't get to see that. So.
Yeah.
Because
that's the whole, and like Chris Pratt is like the fucking cowboy with the, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I know. And listen, a lot of people shit on Chris Pratt. I still think I love Parks and Rec. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. but this was not his finest hour by
No.
any means.
Mm-mm,
And
no.
the more macho they try to make him, I don't see it. I think he's like Star-Lord. Like, you can give
It's
him nice
Star-Lord, yes.
abs, you can give him nice abs, but ultimately he has to be fucking goofy. Like, you can, like Andy Dwyer in Parks and Rec, where like he's just kind of like fat. Like, I love that. Like, I thought that was like, that's the perfect Chris Pratt for me. Is the dad
Yeah.
bod donut eating shoe guy,
Right, and he's fucking wrangling a dinosaur and almost kills his horse to get the one dinosaur, and it's like, why? I mean, it's got gratuitous Chris Pratt in it, and I didn't like that very much, because,
Yeah.
and we talked about this. You and I talked about this in private, and this was before I'd seen the movie because I was still excited. Jurassic Park, that was one of my jams as a kid. That was a big deal for me. I love
Sure.
dinosaurs.
Yes, definitely.
And yeah, that was a huge part of my childhood. And so, of course, I was excited to see everybody together again. And I didn't care how I got it, except then I watched it and I'm very
Yeah.
disappointed. And, we talked about the issue with these new Jurassic World movies is that I don't give a fuck about any of those characters. Don't care about them.
Yeah.
Don't like any of them. They can't relate to any of them. They all suck. And it could be anybody. And I wouldn't give a shit. I was there to see the dinosaurs. And like I said, I was there to see dinosaurs in the city. That was the exciting part of the Lost World was when we got the T-Rex in the city,
Yes, the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's when you think about that movie, that's what you think about
You
is the
think about the
T-Rex running
fucking
around.
T-Rex in the window of the kid and eating the
The
dog
Japanese
and
people freaking out
yeah,
and got the Godzilla thing. Yeah, yeah.
it's the best part of the whole movie. And so I was so excited to have a movie about that and they fucking didn't give us that to go to some other fucking place again. And I don't care about those other fucking places. I don't give a shit about that. And so I was disappointed. And then
Well,
like I said, they get the main cast together and then they didn't really do anything.
that's why I liked Fallen Kingdom. Like, I liked the lava part. I liked the first part of the movie. And I liked the ending like real dark with the brontosaurus on the dock, and like,
And they're
it's
oh
but then I also liked when it became, the Indoraptor stalking that little clone girl around the house. And it
yeah.
became a horror movie, and it was like really scary and like suspenseful. And it was like I guess I don't want to say like a slasher, but in the same way people say that the first Alien movie is a slasher movie,
Yeah.
right? Then you could make the same argument about the second half of
But it's a home invasion.
right, or the
Yeah.
second half of Fallen Kingdom, where at least they were doing something really new with the dinosaur. Like they were doing something like, yes, okay, we know that we have dinosaurs, we know we have humans, we know of the modern era, but it felt like they were like not just doing a theme park type thing. They were really trying to do kind of a new a new like paradigm. And I think that I really like Fallen Kingdom. And then I really also like the third one, Jurassic Park 3, because I think it's just like
I like that one too.
it's just like an action movie. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And
You get
there's
lots of dinosaur action in that
you
one.
get lots of dinosaurs in it. And
Yeah.
I felt like this one didn't have a lot of dinosaurs in it.
No. No,
You
it didn't.
know?
It had too many people.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
yeah, and you didn't get like, I don't know, the whole thing with the pilot and like that. It was just
Right, let's add another fucking person. We don't have enough people. Let's add another fucking person to it. I don't. Which you know what? I'll tell you. I like the pilot. I like the pilot's character.
sure she
I
was
liked
fine.
her. Right, her story arc was good. I mean, it was very simple, right? She was a criminal, a career criminal, and then she had a heart, right? Very simple. I mean, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But that's all Jurassic Park needs is very simple, except for maybe have fucking, like I told my mom, I would have been just as fine had they at some point like seen Jeff Goldblum and he would have been like, oh yeah, I just got done at Dr. Sadler and Dr. Grant's anniversary party, and that would have been enough for me. I wouldn't have even needed to have seen them and their story arc or anything like that because they fucking did so little.
Yeah.
And that's coming from a purist who fucking loves the original Jurassic Park. So, and that's just, I mean, it was just disappointing. And then let me talk about this for a second. The movie's fucking 2.5 hours long somehow. Somehow, right? For a bunch of shit that doesn't happen. It's 2.5 hours long. Why don't we bring back intermissions? Can we please do that? can we please bring back intermissions for all the movies? Because let me tell you something, I cannot hold my bladder for two and a
Yes,
half hours plus 30 minutes of fucking previews.
honey, I'm a 41-year-old man on water pills. Yeah, I if you're gonna sell me a fucking Mountain Dew the size of my skull, like give me a chance to piss it out after a little bit, you
Right.
know?
Or like flash a little something on the screen where like nothing's happening in the movie. There's always that point where nothing's happening in the movie. And
Right,
you're like, fuck, I should have pissed. But now I can't because something might happen. Except for in Jurassic World, it continues to be nothing and nothing happens. But yeah, I mean, flash a little thing on the screen, be like, this is the part you can live without.
right.
I mean, at minimum, I know I worked at a theater for 5 years. I know that we got to watch those movies before they come out. Let us decide, when that part is. We'll put a little, let the theater workers decide. We'll tell you, you don't need to know this. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. It was disappointing. I'm sad about it. Fuck. It's like the first movie I've seen in the theater for a long time, actually, quite a while. Hell, I
Should
think
have seen should have seen Elvis.
it probably would have had more going on in it. You're probably right. And then I could have pissed and not cared that I missed part of it.
Right.
But yeah, so I watched that. I watched the first episode of The Hunt or The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. I'm sorry, The Hunt for Skinwalkers is different. The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. We talked about before the show, but like I'm not impressed by it so far. I'll give it a chance. Everybody's bothering me about it. Everybody's saying it's pretty solid, but we did the episode on it. We did the deep dive on it, and I just don't think that. I think that anything that you see on that show is completely 100% made up.
Is this the Netflix one you're talking about, or is there a different one?
No, I believe it's on. I believe it's everywhere. It's on Netflix.
Okay.
It's on Discovery. I mean, it's everywhere. It's on Hulu.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know who produces it or whatever, but like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was just boring. I was bored by it. Didn't care about all the people there. I don't know if it's because now that I'm an investigator, I don't watch a lot of these shows anyway, but I made a social media post about like, what should I be watching? Everybody's always asked, have you seen this? And I haven't. And so what should I be watching? And, a lot of people recommended this one in particular. A lot of people recommended just regular movies and stuff. I don't think they understand who they're following, but, um, I'm giving it a chance. I'll continue to try it and see how it goes. But so far, I don't know. We'll see. And some of the shit they were saying was like not real. Like they were talking about how activity's gone on at that ranch for so long, but like it hasn't. It didn't really seem to take off until that one family moved in. So I'm like,
Yeah, my mother-in-law asked me about the Netflix one. Hey Marge. And I have no desire to watch it. I watch so little fucking TV. I'm trying to watch like The
right.
Bear, which everyone says is great. It's about Chicago, a chef that takes over like the Chicago beef stand or something. And I mean, who knows if I'll ever get around to watching that. I next thing I got to watch is Hellier season 2, so that we
Yes.
could do that for the Patreon. But like, I am terrible about TV shows. Movies, if you recommend a good movie to me, chances are I'll sit down and watch it because that's 2 hours and I'm done. You know what I mean? But
Right.
like
Compared to
TV
10.
shows, like goddamn, this better be good.
And
This
there's three
better
seasons of this show. And I'm like, God
fuck
damn.
that. It better be.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I
It's
don't.
hard. It's hard to watch. I agree with that. I mean, I already don't watch a lot of movies. I mean, really, I don't.
Yeah,
But yeah, I agree. When watching a TV show, that's a whole nother. But I'm trying. I'm trying to connect with my community. Everybody's always asking me. Like I said, they're always like, "Hey, have you seen this? What do you think of this?" And I can't give my opinion because I don't watch the shit. Um, but for the most part, it's because I'm bored. It's because the information they're giving is wrong. you know, and that's my personal struggle with it, I guess. But um yeah, that's pretty much what I did. I've been working a lot. I've written a good chunk of the Mothman book,
awesome.
which I am
I
impressed with
love to hear.
myself. Yeah, I'm impressed with myself. It gets very, I mean, the thing about it is that most of it's already written. It's just that it's within my notes of all my research and it's just all over the place. It's just a matter of me putting it together. And I've really been like, really thinking about like, who do I want to forward this? It's kind of, a badge of honor for the both of us, right? So do I want to go for like like me and Pat were talking about the one percenters? Do I want to go for the people that are already, because then I'd be like, holy shit, so and so forwarded my book. Or do I want to give the opportunity to one of my people who has put the time and the work in and is underrated? I'll
Just ask Tobias to do it.
Tobias probably would do it. And he's already a writer. So, I mean, I probably will go that route and pick somebody. But, it's just been those silly things. And like I said, just kind of writing up my opinions. And I've never written a book before. It's the first time I've ever done it. So it's going all right. It's going all right. And then I recorded some things for the Patreon. So that'll be out. Had lots of things I've been investigating. I've been busy. I've been busy with work and I feel good about it. So
Yeah.
there's that.
Well, cool. I'm very happy. That's when after the 48-hour thing, that's when I move into NaNoWriMo territory, which is in November. And I'm looking forward to get back into the writing thing too, and trying to get Candace to help me out with that, because that was one of the things that I learned from the Withville UFO thing when we sold all those Blu-rays, is that pushing myself as a filmmaker like feels weird, because like the only thing I do, people like to say like you are what you do, right? If you get up every day and you go to work, and at work you wash dishes, then you're a fucking dishwasher. Like that's it, right? And for better or worse, every week I consistently create a podcast. I'm a fucking podcaster. You know what I mean? I've made movies in the past and I've done different things in the past, but what do I do now? What do I spend my time doing? You know what I mean? I spend my time now podcasting, and I'm looking forward to just like not stop doing this, but
Sure.
like take on other things as well,
Sure.
schedule permitting. And yeah, the writing is good because it's free. You could do it at home.
Yeah.
Um, it's like
Yeah.
it's expressive and it's good. I look forward to get back then too. So I'm very happy when you told me that you were working on that this weekend,
Yeah, I
because
mean, I'm trying to, get some momentum going. I mean, I feel now more than ever I'm very motivated.
good.
I know where I want to stop this thing roughly. I'm just ready to move on from the Mothman and start talking about other things because, well, I've already started doing that. So,
Yeah.
and I need to, get that caught up, but I need to finish that first, and so that's where I'm at with it. Not that it won't be great. Of course it'll be great. But,
Goes without saying, of course.
finally doing it right. I'm like, whew, finally sitting. Well, I've been doing just a lot of housekeeping of, getting my files together and stupid shit that you got to do, and like everything that I have is so all over the place. Somebody had asked me about a particular case. I don't remember what it was, a new listener to the show, and they had asked if I would send them over something that I had mentioned on the show that I had. I think it was my sky noises, my sky dragon is what I called it. And I told them, yeah, I'll send it over, but I gotta fucking find it first. Like I've got the file, I just don't know where it's at. So yeah, doing stuff like that, and it's been nice to purge and reorganize. So that's been the theme here lately, is purging and reorganizing. Um, but anyway, you want to talk about some news?
Oh, I got something that's really bothering me that happened in the news this week, but I don't want to hijack the show by talking about it. But if any listeners out there want to talk to Pat about his feelings, please get at
Oh
me.
my god, this is so cryptic.
I don't want to go into it because I don't want to hijack the show.
Uh,
But let me just say this: in the news this week, it was announced that Pantera will be reuniting in 2023, and suddenly, all of my friends who I very distinctly remember rocking out to Pantera with in high school in my early 20s think that like Pantera is like white power music. And I don't want to get into this because we don't do a political show. But if you're a Pantera fan and we want to start a support group about why people are trying to cancel Pantera right now, 'cause it's fucked up, like please get at me on the side channels, and that's it. It's really been bothering me. It's been a very tough week for me.
I have been seeing the memes. The general opinion, I think, is that Pantera is a bunch of white supremacists, but I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
I don't think they fucking are. I don't.
I don't know
Maybe.
anything about. I'm not arguing with you. I'm saying I don't know anything about it because I am too young and cool to listen to Pantera. But
What about Down? Did you ever listen to Down? Down was their side
no,
project. It was stoner metal from Louisiana. It was awesome.
never heard of it.
Oh, Down. The first Down album is fucking fantastic. The second one's not bad either. And then I don't know, they put out a third one. But that was with the same two guys. I don't know. I'm not trying to derail the show right now, but Pantera support group, get at me. Or if you have evidence of them being
There you go.
supposedly, yes, fucking please share that with me as well, because trust me, I don't want to support I don't support that kind of hate speech and shit. But I think they were just like cowboys from hell. I mean, they're fucking, it's southern fucking metal. Like, I don't think that's necessarily racist, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
You're gonna
I'm,
like form together a whole group of like just unknowingly of racists, and you're all gonna get together to go to this fucking Pantera show.
yes, it's gonna be like a Proud Boys rally. That's what we like. I'm trying
And
to
you're gonna
like
be the only.
I'm trying to tap different markets for us as a podcast. I feel we're very underrepresented in the Proud Boy circle, and those
That's
people are viciously loyal. Okay,
oh my
those
god.
people will buy our merch, and that's what we need. We need to come up with fucking merch that like speaks to that segment of the. Anyway, go on with the news. I'm gonna shut the fuck up about this now. I'm sorry.
Pat's gonna form a hate group accidentally.
Right? We're gonna storm the fucking Capitol.
Oh my god, don't say that. You're gonna get our show taken down. No, that's not happening. But I don't know anything about the Pantera thing. I mean, like I said, I kind of heard bits and pieces. If you either want to join Pat in his support group or enlighten him, either one,
Yes, I'm totally.
he's
I
open
am.
to enlightenment if there is
Yes,
enlightenment to be had.
100%, definitely, 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 definitely. I'm not set in my ways. I mean, but yeah.
Yeah,
So
fuck racism, fuck racist. Right?
yes,
That's fuck.
I could say that with very little hesitancy. Fuck racism. I have an anti-racist tattoo on my arm,
You do,
and
yeah.
I do. And I had a coworker tell me once, if you go to jail, you're gonna get raped by everybody. So that's why I
That's why
you
it's
know
gonna be funny when you show up with your fucking little hate group to the concert, and they're all like, "What the fuck, man? I thought you were
I'll
one
just
of
have
us."
I'll just have sleeves on. I just won't rock my sleeveless shirt that day. I won't be wearing my Bigfoot Society tank top.
You're just like
I'll wear the.
fucking preaching, separate the art from the artist, man.
Well,
Jesus.
I mean, was Roman Polanski made some great fucking movies, guys. I don't know.
Oh God. Ooh. Anyway, okay. Well, that's Pat's news. Did you have any other news for the week that you wanted to share?
No, I'm gonna shut the fuck up. Let's
Let's
get to the
talk
good
about.
stuff.
Did you actually watch the video that I sent you this week?
Of course,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, Pato did. I guess I didn't actually explicitly send videos to you before, and that's my problem. But anyway, this week in right near the Red River Gorge in Kentucky, there was a weird thing caught on somebody's security camera, and some people think that it's a pail crawler. And it looks weird. Of course, I'll share the video down in the description. You guys can go see it. You probably have already seen it. I think this actually happened kind of right in the beginning of the weird week anyway. But I don't know, guys. I think this is just a tweaker.
I think that is no. There's Instagram accounts that I follow that produce videos like that all the time, where
Yeah.
it looks like a giant dragon is eating the moon or some shit. Where it's like special effects stuff. I have a small background in filmmaking. That's not real.
I think
I
it's
don't
just
think that's
I
real.
mean, it's a perfect in one of the morph suits.
Well, so that's potential. That's definitely possible. But what's crazy is that the way that the suit glows up in comparison to
The
there's
background.
no light source. It's
Yeah.
generating its own light source, which means that it's either a special effect or and that's what I think it is. I think it's CGI. I don't think that's real, because if it was a dude in a suit, it would have to be glowing or something, but it doesn't look like it's glowing around. You know what I mean? Like if it
Yeah,
was.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure that's like After Effects, but A for
Yeah.
effort, I guess, but not really. It's kind of shitty. I don't know.
I mean, it's so hard. We got so many hoaxes going around. Speaking of which, I will be on a CryptoCasters this Thursday
Right.
talking about the 21st, talking about hoaxes. So if you're not on Clubhouse, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you just don't like fun. It's fine. But if you are in Clubhouse, you should definitely come and listen to my CryptoCasters episode that I'm doing with Greg from All the Weird, of course, great friend of the show, and tons of other wonderful people that will be there. I don't know if we'll talk about this, but anyway, the point is of me even talking about that is that right now we have so many amateur filmmakers, and it's easier than ever to
Right.
make something right from a video. I know I'm not buying this one. I mean, nothing about it screams unnatural to me. It just looks like a dude purposefully walking weird.
Yeah, it's not real.
Yeah, I don't think that's real either. So, I don't know. But what do I know? I'm just a fucking 14 investigator. I don't know shit. So, there's that. I mean, if you think it's real, it's fine. I don't know the person. I wasn't there, So,
That wasn't my backyard.
right. I don't, it's a weird one, but it's been popular. It's been going around. People have been, um, seeing it go around and
It
but
does. You know what though? This stuff doesn't. And you guys were talking about on the furry episode, which if you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to last week's episode about furries. Um, the you and Chris were talking about that Bigfoot skull or the ape skull that was
yeah.
found or whatever. I don't think, and this is something we've talked about from time and time on the show, but like hoaxes that generate a lot of interest in a field sometimes have positive effects, right? If somebody sees this video and then decides to do some research on their own and comes across a couple stories that are more authentic, or at least are questionable, you know, maybe that's good. Maybe, if this, when stuff like this goes viral, like that werewolf thing that from the zoo that was all over the
Yeah.
fucking place. Oh my God, that was everywhere.
Yeah.
If that gets people believing in werewolves or like at least looking into it or dogmen or whatever, good for I then, I can't get mad at it,
I agree
you
with
know?
that part. And, I've said that about, because cryptids have now become like a popular meme. And there's a lot of people, like the Mothman. People think that the Mothman is an anthropomorphic moth, and it's not, it's a person. It looks like a dude. Um, but it gets the kids interested in it. And that part is pretty damn cool to me. So the people that are really going to catch an interest are going to do the research, and eventually they're going to find out that the Mothman doesn't actually look like that.
Mhm.
Or they're going to do the research and they're going to find out that that was just a tweaker in someone's driveway or whatever. They're going to dig deeper into it because they already have that interest and they want to take it seriously. It's just a matter of sparking it by having that go viral. Again, the thing that really did it for me, I say it's the Patterson Gimlin film, except what really started it was Ray Wallace's faked Bigfoot footprints, because that's the article that I read about in that little Time or Life magazine or whatever the hell it was when I was a kid. It was about those fake footprints and called into question the Patty film, which then drove me to go watch it and then drove me to dive deeper. And now here I am, 31. I'm weird, and that's what I do for a living. So it was a hoax that got me into it. And I remember like being young and like I said, shouted out Cryptomundo. I'll do it again. Reading Cryptomundo and seeing these like faked, some of the things that I remember the most ended up being hoaxes. There was this like video of like a gnome or something that, I wish I'll maybe I'll find it, but there was like a video of like a gnome.
The duende.
Well, I mean, I guess it could be a duende. It could be Pukwudgie. I mean, it was just a little person, and it was like it was weird. It was like standing by a tree, and it was like it was filmed in another country, and it kind of like hopped around sideways, and then like it was a group of kids filming it, and they freaked out and they ran away. But and I was fascinated by it because man, it looked really good. I was like, what is that thing? What the fuck is that? But then there were two other versions of that video that came out, which tells that this was fake.
Right.
We know that it was just some kids filming a video and it was fake. But I remember that, fucking 15 years later, I remember that. It's probably been longer than that. You remember those things, and again, it's kind of the formula that makes you become an investigator then and find the things that aren't real because that fascinates you more, or pick apart the things that, I mean, it's still fun. It's still fun. Even if it's fake, it's fun.
Most mind-blowing segue from the news into today's show topic, something that I 100% had this experience with growing up. You hear me talk about Coast to Coast AM a lot on the show, or sightings or unsolved mysteries. It's what a lot of people name drop when they talk about what got them into the paranormal
Sure.
and conspiracies and whatnot. For me, it was Weekly World News.
And that's a
It
good one.
was it was being a kid, and if I was good and I helped my mom grocery shop, then I could get the Weekly World News when we were in the supermarket checkout line at the
Hmm.
Julie's. And I was, and obviously they were the leader in these Elvis is alive conspiracy stories.
Sure.
But it probably I probably read that thing for a couple fucking years before I realized it was all bullshit. I mean,
Right. Oh
that's
yeah.
how young I started reading that.
Right.
And it really did, like the stories about the aliens and the Bermuda Triangle and UFO, everything, and the government, and it was a while before I started to realize, all right, this stuff's goofy, and it also had this weird conservative bent to it too. Um, Not there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, like, before I realized it was kind of, there was politics to it too.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, Weekly World News, which is clearly a parody.
Right. Clearly.
Looking back now as adults, you could see that, but as a kid, I didn't make that distinction, and it was nothing but imagination fodder. And yeah, I mean, the hoaxes of all hoaxes. None of that shit's fucking real, you know. And still, it ignited the imagination of a young Pat O'Sullivan.
Yeah,
And
if you follow my stories, I'll repost some of their stuff still from Instagram just because it's fucking hilarious. But I shared the Bat it was Bat Boy's birthday, and I shared that to my story, and somebody messaged me and was like, "Is that real?" And I was like, "Wait, are you serious? You don't know who Bat Boy is? Like, are you serious? You never heard of
right,
Weekly World News?" Or and you forget sometimes how much of the world doesn't recognize that this entire fucking community exists. Like you really do until someone
right.
messages you on Facebook and asks if Bat Boy is real.
Well, not only if they're younger, like I don't think Weekly World News has existed in print form.
It's not even a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe in like 5-10 years. It's been off for now. It's a website, and they still kind of do it, but it's not the same.
No.
So there's it's entirely possible that like my son's generation, or people maybe just a little bit younger than you,
Yeah. I don't
could
know.
could not be aware of it, or maybe they just, because it was really, where would you get it? At the supermarket.
Right.
That's the only place that you ever. No one, they don't carry it in fucking bookstores or anything. No one had a subscription to that. It's not like you went to the dentist's office and they had Weekly World News there. So like, if you didn't go grocery shopping with your parents, or
You didn't see it. Right.
you didn't see it unless you had weirdo parents that brought it home. But like, it was, I was the weirdo that begged my mom to let me get it. You know what I mean? Because I wanted to, like, I was fascinated by all this shit in there.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
understand. I mean, just the format of it, it's really well put together. I mean,
Oh,
but
could you imagine? You imagine being a writer for that? Like, I'm sure they got paid shit. Like,
oh yeah,
realistically looking at it, like those people were probably making like next to nothing. But like, think about what an awesome job that would be.
we probably
Just,
have more podcast listeners than they had readers of Weekly World News.
no,
People
that
that
had to be
actually
super
bought it.
popular. I mean, I did. So my viewpoint is skewed. I
That's true.
actually bought it on a. I mean, if it came out 52 weeks a year, I probably had 30 to 40 issues.
That's
I read it
awesome.
like every fucking week. I loved it. Um,
We should try to get them on the show if anybody's still around. I mean, someone's still doing it.
oh my god, that would be. I would sit there and pitch them. That would be a job interview. That wouldn't be a podcast episode. That would
Wouldn't
be
that be
me
cool?
begging for a job just to come up with like one night a week. I'll sit down, lock myself in the garage, get baked, and just come up with like fucking
Whatever.
15 of these stories. Fuck writing for Paranormality magazine. You guys can, you guys can take that job and shove it. I want a gig working for Weekly World News, man. That's up my alley.
I
Oh my god.
mean, maybe you should do it. I'm just saying.
We'll look
But
into that. We'll definitely look
yeah,
into getting someone from there on, because I bet whoever would do it would love to come on and talk
I
about it.
think it'd be cool. I think that would be a
Yeah,
neat episode.
yeah.
So that, anyway, but yeah, I mean, stuff like that. It generates your interest in these things, and now look at you, Pato. You're a paranormal podcaster getting ready to write for them. I don't,
Maybe, maybe.
but speaking of ridiculous and out there hoaxes, Pato did a Twitter poll and to see if you guys would like an Elvis episode, and you guys overwhelmingly said yes. Overwhelmingly. I was actually
Right.
kind of surprised that it was that unanimous, basically. But Pato wanted to talk about it because Elvis has got some weird shit surrounding him and his life. Now, I will preface this by saying that this is not a judge of character of Elvis himself. Okay, we're not going to talk about the fact that he's a pedophile, that he steals ideas from black people, or anything like that. If you want to learn about that, you can go learn about that. Um, we know he did those things, right? I mean, but he's dead now. But according to some people, he's not, and that's the part that we're going to talk about. So, Pato, Elvis.
Wow, you're just gonna fucking
Oh yeah, just throw it out there.
just do
It's a
that. That's
secret.
right.
Everybody
Yeah.
knows.
Uh, Yeah. So, according to according to
Weekly World News.
no, the man, I guess, Elvis died August 16th, 1977. Um, and it's been long held belief by some people that he did not, that he's still alive. So, kind of to put this in a little bit of context, celebrities hoaxing their deaths is not anything new or particular to Elvis. This is something that's kind of been around for a while. The first biggest example of it is Paul McCartney from the Beatles.
Oh
Some
yeah,
people claim that he died in a car accident, and that the Beatles, around the same time that the Beatles stopped playing out live during around the Sgt. Pepper's album, and that's the reason that the Beatles stopped playing out live, and that the Beatles felt so guilt racked about hoaxing his death that they left a bunch of clues in their songs to suggest that he was still alive. Right. That was one of the first examples of this. It's actually something that a lot of universities have studied about how conspiracy theories spread. Because it's kind of a nice, safe one. It's not. We're not talking about Kennedy assassination.
sure.
It's nothing super political. Celebrity death hoaxes, right? And in more modern times, something that I heard about just recently, actually, no connection to the Elvis thing. There's a lot of people that think that Avril Lavigne faked her death too. I don't know if you're aware of that one. Um, they think that she committed suicide after the release of her second album. Well, before her second album was released, but after it was recorded, that she was under so much pressure from the record company and everything that she just died, and that she was replaced with someone else named Melissa, and that there's a bunch of clues and different appearances that she's had that she's not this person. She's not actually Avril Lavigne, that she's this other chick, Melissa. And I mean, there's been stuff about Tupac. I remember from the '90s, because mostly because Tupac had made a bunch of movies before he died, and
A bunch of shit. Yeah.
yeah, all those movies had come out after he died. And I remember being in high school and working at a burger stand, and one of my coworkers being like, "What is he on an island somewhere making movies? This guy has been in more movies than I have since he died, and I'm fucking alive." You know what I mean? Like, how is this possible? Well, because movies obviously.
My favorite Dave Chappelle skit is when he's at the club and the new Tupac song comes on, and he's like, Tupac is like obviously there singing the song, and like, but he's talking about how he died, and shit. So anyway, it's a good one. Dave Chappelle's a local celebrity, so
Right.
we gratuitous Dave Chappelle in my life.
Not
Um,
problematic at all, but Asher seems to give him a free pass, so that's fine. Um,
it's very he can be very problematic.
Oh, well, let's stop and give a disclaimer about David Chappelle while we're at it. You know what I mean? I see how it works around here. Jesus, I see how your bread's buttered. But
Listen, you have to say these. You got to point them out. I mean, it is what it is. Dave Chappelle, he's a local celebrity. Yes, I've seen all of his things, but he needs to learn to shut the fuck up sometimes.
okay.
I don't think
Uh,
he's a bad person. He just needs to reel it in.
well,
Like,
thank God Elvis didn't steal his jokes. Let me just put that out there, because
that's
otherwise he would have been cancelable.
right.
As it stands now, not so much. So, so the Elvis is still alive theory is something that popped up pretty much almost immediately after he died. And there's a couple different reasons. One of them is that Elvis was supposedly. We know that Elvis was very enamored with law enforcement, and he was a big fan of guns, and he was a big fan of badges for some reason. Elvis was a weird dude, right? And there's that famous picture of Elvis with Richard Nixon in the '70s, and that came about because Elvis also loved drugs, and he liked to travel with drugs, and he had the bright idea that if he was made a DEA agent and had a badge, that he would be able to get through airports with drugs on him. And I don't know how well it worked. I think it worked well, but he used his connections to have a meeting with Nixon in 1970, and Nixon was more than happy to make him a honorary DEA agent, right? So supposedly around the time of his death, he was approached by the FBI, and this is something that has been released through the FBI files, like stuff that's eventually come out, either FOIA stuff or just it's now accessible to the public. Um, the FBI had asked him to bring down a cover of a group of racketeers called the Fraternity. Um, and supposedly anyone that knows Elvis's story knows that he spent like the past um, the last years of his life was spent in Vegas as kind of as the resident act at the International Hotel. And obviously, the mob had strong ties to Vegas. And Colonel Parker, who was his manager, kind of locked Elvis into this deal at the International Hotel to subsidize his gambling debts. Right? There's other reasons too. Colonel Parker was a shady motherfucker that couldn't leave the country because he wasn't actually a U.S. citizen. He was a legal alien, and Elvis wanted to do a world tour, but Colonel Parker couldn't allow that because then he would have to leave the country and he had no passport because he wasn't really a citizen. So he made sure that Elvis was like basically a slave to Las Vegas the last years of his life, Vegas being a mob town. Elvis had sold one of his airplanes to one of these mobsters, and the FBI caught wind of them having like a pretty legitimate like interaction, right? And he was just selling him an airplane. And the FBI approached Elvis to be an undercover agent for them to help bring down this group of mafiosos known as the Fraternity. And supposedly the whole thing went sideways, and the feds then put him in witness protection because there was a hit out for him, right? And the last things the feds wanted was for Elvis to be killed because of him cooperating with them on this mafia bust thing. So that's all kind of verified. The witness protection thing, not so much, but him working with the feds around the time of his death on this undercover on trying to bring down these mobsters that were operating out of Vegas. Okay, so that's kind of like where the fuel starts, right? That he had motive, he had reason. Also, like I mentioned before, he was locked into basically this lifetime contract with the Intercontinental Hotel to be a performer, and Elvis never really got to travel the world. One of the things that he really wanted to do was go on tour in the overseas and like Europe and Japan and stuff like that. He never got to do any of that, which is insane if you think about that for an artist of his caliber at that time. The Rolling Stones were basically living in the United States. They were from England. You had people going back and forth all the time. Elvis
Right.
never did any of that. The farthest he ever got was Hawaii, you know? And once again, because of Colonel Parker not wanting him to leave the country because of his own citizenship issues. So it's something that later on in life really started to bother Elvis. And the height of his fame, the fact that he was locked into this contract, it all kind of created this environment to where somebody would potentially want to fake his own death. He also had more money than anyone could want, like, where
Sure.
he could live out his life comfortably without the help of the government. So that is like kind of like, I guess, the very vanilla straight take on it.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So those are the.
Um
Are you saying that those are the facts?
yes. Now the FBI file stuff, like it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't say that he was ever put in witness protection, but it
Sure.
does say that he was collaborating with them and that they thought that he was an ideal candidate to help bring down um the fraternity, which was the mafia group.
Okay.
Okay. So that those are the facts.
Okay. Okay. All right. And so what happened when Elvis died?
Well, people started seeing him places, right? He started popping up all over the place, and some of them were kind of ridiculous, and some of them weren't. Um, People thought that he was one of these figures that had such a rabid fan base that some people just didn't want to think that he was dead. Um, but there was also some sightings that were a little bit more credible than others. There's one. Um, there's one sighting that's you can check it out yourself. Supposedly he's in Home Alone. Did you come across this in your
What?
research?
No, I didn't see that.
Yes. So the scene where um, Kevin McAllister's mom is at the airport trying to get back to Chicago, and the flights are all booked, and you know, she can't get one, and then John Candy shows up and says, "Hey, I'm the king. I'm whatever his name is, the polka king of the Midwest. We'll give you a ride on our bus back to Chicago or Milwaukee. He's going to Milwaukee, whatever the deal is." In the background, there's a guy that looks a lot like Elvis, and I will say this: I've seen the comparison photos. He looks a lot like Elvis. And what's interesting about that is that the movie that Christopher Columbus, who's the director, made right before Home Alone was a movie called Heartbreak Hotel, strangely enough, about a group of teenage boys that kidnap Elvis so that he'll fuck one of their moms or something. I've never seen the movie, but suppose that's basically the plot of it, is these teenagers in the 60s trying to kidnap Elvis. So yeah, there's people, you can look it up. Vice.com did a pretty good article about it, and it's got the comparison photos.
Yeah,
So,
I looked it up just now. I mean, he looks like Elvis.
he looks like Elvis, but I mean, whatever. That's the thing about stuff like this, is that all it takes is for it to like kind of look not bad. Like if you look at those Weekly World News headlines where they have like Elvis is going to run for president in 2008, or Elvis, they had a field day, and this is what I said about Weekly World News being like kind of conservative, is that they had a field day when Lisa Marie married Michael Jackson, where supposedly Elvis was going to come out of hiding to put an end to this. Elvis was not happy that his daughter married the king of pop. You know what I mean? And the Photoshop, and mind you, this is like an era before Photoshop. So it's like really probably cut and paste, like they don't have the technology that we have now. And the Weekly World News would do these photo jobs of an aging Elvis. And like, it didn't look that bad. I mean, you look at it and you can kind of tell what it is. Like, it's supposed to be an old Elvis, but there's no real old Elvis for you to compare it to, so you don't know what he would necessarily look like. You know.
That's true. That's a good point. I really like how, I was asking you, are we just going to cover Elvis this week, or are we going to talk about, different celebrity deaths, maybe, or celebrity conspiracies or whatever? And then you sent me this article, and the top picture in the article is not of Elvis, it's of Bruce Campbell from Bubba Hotep, which is a fucking fantastic movie.
Right. Because we haven't gotten into the Elvis paranormal stuff yet.
No,
but
not
like,
yet. I just wanted to mention that, but Elvis impersonators, and let me tell you, I mean, Bruce Campbell, look, it looks like Elvis. That's kind of another driving force, is that like Elvis can still be Elvis and perform, because there's so many impersonators out there, you wouldn't really know if it was the real one or not for a very long time anyway, until probably, now that he's very old. But it's like, oh my gosh, what's the comedian that people think didn't die? That's another one. Oh my gosh.
Geez. What's his, a man in the moon?
Yeah, Man on the Moon guy. I can't
Yeah.
remember his fucking
Oh
name
my
right
God,
now.
I'm gonna kill my fucking self. Andy
Andy,
Kaufman.
Andy Kaufman. Yes. He
Yes.
also had a character that he played that somebody, I can't remember who it was exactly, somebody could also play. And so people thought that he didn't die because they would see that character being played still. But there
Yeah.
was a second person that played him just fine. And so that struck a whole other conspiracy, for another celebrity and actually, God, we should have done Andy Kaufman, because I mean, if anybody's going to fake their own death, it'd be him. It makes sense. There are like, year after year, people are like, it's the year, he's going to reveal himself, he's alive. He's not. Andy Kaufman's dead, and so is an Elvis. But this is just kind of, it's just part of it. It's part of a conspiracy death theory, or is that these celebrities get sick of the fame and they go into hiding, and they do it by faking their own death, and then they just walk around amongst us, and they'd be like, oh, are you so and so? And they're like, no, I'm not so and so.
Well, anybody that's ever read like an interview, well, I don't want to say any interview with a celebrity, but that's a very common theme, is that there are pitfalls to being a celebrity, and especially like that level. Like, we're not just talking about like Jensen Ackles here, right? We're talking about goddamn Elvis. Like, that level of celebrity, that height of fandom, You know what I mean? That can there could be a backlash to that. Especially when it gets into people trying to make money off you. And Elvis got a lot of, there was a lot of people that were trying to make money off him that gave him bad career advice. There was a lot of people that, took advantage of him. And
Sure.
you hear it all the time, with all different kinds of, musicians and actors and people that get screwed over and they're bankrupt now. And that's why Nicolas Cage was making a movie a month for a couple years, right? It's because
Right.
he was so much in fucking debt, and then he cleared the books, and now he's good now, and he can go back to doing Ghost Rider or whatever the fuck he wants to
Nicholas
do. So
Cage stuff.
yeah, you know,
he
buying
go,
$50,000 Iron Man comics or whatever.
he go
But
back to being Nicholas Cage. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, like I said, I think with any of these things, you have to look at what is their motive, is there opportunity, and that's the thing with Elvis is that there's definitely motive. There was definitely reason for him to want to do that outside of the mafia angle. Right. He had reached that kind of level of celebrity where there was nowhere to go but down, and maybe just trying to fucking ride out the rest of his life, uh, in seclusion or just kind of away from the public eye was what he wanted to do. And some people point to an interview that Lisa Maria's daughter did with Larry King, where he asked her about this stuff, and she was very elusive in how she answered. And he asked if she felt if he was still in contact with her, and she didn't exactly say no. She kind of gave a weird answer, but she was kind of a weird chick anyway. So, that's not necessarily, but there's little breadcrumbs like that along the way, right? Where people kind of kept this hope alive that he was alive, you know. And you mentioned the article that I sent you with the Bubba Hotep, where they talk about the more supernatural aspects of Elvis.
Right.
So getting into that real quick, supposedly, and this is something that's been documented in a couple different places, but supposedly when Elvis was born, there was a blue light that appeared over the hospital. And Elvis has a history of UFO sightings. So this was the first one. This was actually made by his dad on the day of his birth. Elvis was, like I said, in the hospital he was born. His dad went out to have a cigarette, saw a UFO above the hospital, thought that it meant that his son would be destined for great things. Um, then when Elvis was growing up, he had claims that he had an encounter with extraterrestrials. And a lot of this stuff, I looked all over the internet because I wanted quotes for this, and everything I find keeps pointing back to this book called Alien Rock, The Rock and Roll Extraterrestrial Connection. And it's about musicians who have experience with extraterrestrials, right? So I haven't read, obviously, once again, I'm going to read the book after we do the episode and then come back in 3 weeks and talk about fucking blah, 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 blah. But
I'd like to do an episode on celebrities and UFOs.
yeah, I mean, this book, I was looking at it like supposedly David Bowie's got a bunch of shit. I'm a huge David Bowie fan. We kind of talked about the Sammy Hagar stuff. Shirley MacLaine was a big one growing up. She was one of the earliest ones that I remember. And then, yeah, to double back with the Elvis stuff. Elvis, supposedly there was an encounter that he had with aliens when he was younger. And they showed him visions of the future and stuff. And he didn't understand it, but it made him think that it kind of bolstered his confidence that he was going to go on and do great things, supposedly. And then there was a sighting that him and one of his bandmates had when they were on the road, and supposedly they saw a UFO together, and that was, like I said, corroborated by another witness. So he had an interest in this stuff, and that kind of, I think, is where the Elvis taken by aliens thing that we saw in Weekly World News or a lot of these stories kind of gained momentum, is that it wasn't just enough that he was potentially alive and on the run from the mafia or witness protection or just laying low. It was that he was alive and there was a supernatural component to it as well, because that seemed to kind of go hand in hand with him when he was alive.
Well, interesting. So, what do people think that he was abducted by aliens and now he's living in a alien country? I don't know, an alien planet. I mean, is that alien country? I don't know if that exists, but yeah. I mean, is that? I
I'm sure
mean,
there's somewhere. No, popular consensus is that he's dead.
well,
Okay, I'm
fair
sure
enough.
you could cast a wide enough net and find some oddball somewhere that's gonna fucking suggest something. I did come across some artwork on Twitter that I had saved on my phone that showed him getting experimented on by aliens. So like, yeah, it's kind of that's just. But once again, going back to the weekly world news thing and kind of the holy trinity of paranormal and conspiracies. I mean, you have Elvis, UFOs, and Bigfoot. You know, for the longest time, like those were the three big ones. And I think the Elvis stuff has kind of calmed down, and mostly because of generational things. People my age and younger don't have the reverence towards him that people my age and older do. He's not the figure that he used to be, and there's never been anyone to kind of pick up that mantle. um, Kurt Cobain died at a young age, and some people think that like his suicide wasn't necessarily a suicide, but no one's gone to those lengths where there's like a ridiculous amount of Kurt Cobain sightings, or people think that he's living with UFOs or something. That
No, he died. He died at 27, so he's part of the 27 Club, which is apparently a thing.
Yeah, that is. I mean, that's another potential show topic because there's lots of stuff there.
Right, right. So his death fit a different conspiracy, so people ran with it.
Right. So yeah, nobody's kind of like, I think, galvanized the imagination of the public like Elvis did. But that was because he was such a oddball character in and of himself. Like that
Right.
was he collected handguns, he shot TVs, he was supposedly like to get pissed on. People think he died on the toilet. He had a lot of money, did crazy shit. He was a
He died with
pedophile.
like 20 pounds of shit inside of his intestines or something like that. And that's true, actually. It's not 20. I don't know how much it was. It was like he was extremely constipated.
Oh my god.
And he had a crazy amount of poop in his intestines.
Just life advice from a 41-year-old. One of the things that I've realized in
Eat
the
your
past,
fiber.
don't push. Yeah, don't push. Let it happen. If it's not ready to happen, then go do something else.
Like,
There's no bigger waste of time than sitting on the toilet waiting for something to happen that's not going to happen. Wait till it's going to happen and then sit down. And if you time it right, the act of you squatting down, everything will just come right out, and then you could just clean up and leave. But don't push, because that's how he supposedly died. Is straining too much on the shitter. You know, that's real. That's verifiable. That can't happen to you.
I don't
And if
remember if he did actually die on the shitter or not.
no, that they don't think he did. They think that's just one of those things
I
one of
think that
those
that
rumors.
story happened because when they did the autopsy on him, they found pounds and pounds of shit in his intestines. And that's because he was taking a
He's
lot of
on
drugs.
painkillers. Yeah,
Right.
painkillers will do that to you.
He was
You
taking a
know,
lot of drugs. But
I
anyway,
am
you
I
know.
am a big proponent of Vicodin and, and OxyContin and Percocets, and all that stuff. I mean, that's Jesus. It makes the world go around. But that's the problem, is that it makes you poo hard. You know.
I looked it up. I was very curious. He died with more than 30 pounds of feces in his intestines. 30
Oh man.
pounds.
Now that's, think about it. Like we were having conversations off air. I mean, I got hospitalized because I had 20 pounds of fluid on my chest. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
sudden weight gain is a fucking bitch. 30 pounds
30.
from food.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were able to pass all that and
You're
now you're
just not
30
shitting.
pounds lighter.
Listen, Elvis didn't shit for like 2 weeks straight before he died. He was
Well,
probably
I don't think they had Metamucil back then. I mean, that might have been a
I
problem.
might not have. I don't know.
We had to invent it first. Now we have the life-saving measures that could
Take
have
your
been in
one a
place.
day.
Oh
Or
my
whatever.
god.
That's a vitamin, but whatever you gotta take. To gut health is very important.
Oh yeah.
You gotta have good gut health. First of all, none of us drink enough water. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Not single one of us drink enough water. Drink your water, eat your fiber. And if you're not drinking your water and eating fiber, take some Metamucil. That's.
I love my Metamucil every night before bed. Part of my
Well,
ritual.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're old people. No, yeah, that's like one of those, urban legends about Elvis, but that one's real. I mean, did he die on the toilet? He did not. I don't believe. I'm pretty sure that one's fake, but yes, he did. He had over 30 pounds of shit in his intestines, so that's true.
Wow. So that's the one part of the story that's not full of shit.
And I think also, the, I think, I'm looking it up real quick. One of the other driving factors was that, there's no autopsy photos of him.
I didn't know that.
There's one of him laying in a coffin. But normally there are autopsy photos taken of celebrities, and usually they're released. But I don't think that there were any. Nope, there's no autopsy photos of Elvis.
Yeah, I mean, we got that picture of Kennedy with the hole in his head. You
Right.
think they would have done something there? Maybe not.
Right. I mean, so there was a body, people could go see it, but was it really a body? I mean, we don't know. Or was it somebody else's body, and just dressed to look like Elvis? I mean, listen, those people dress up corpses. They do a damn good job sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes they are just on top of it. So, I mean, I don't know. That's another thing that kind of adds to it. There was somebody, the first Elvis sighting, and maybe you said that took place when somebody by a particular name that Elvis used to allegedly book hotels. There was a guy that came in, looked exactly like him at the airport, and gave that name, and people think that was Elvis.
No, I didn't hear that. One of the things I had in my notes was that they misspelled his middle name on his tombstone,
Did they?
and they thought so. His middle name was Aaron, and it was actually spelt really funky. And when it was spelled on his tombstone, they used the traditional spelling, and that would have been the time to get his spelling correct. You know what I mean? Because it was his fucking tombstone. And people theorized that was because he would have thought that it was like bad juju to have a real tombstone out there with his name on it. So he authorized the misspelling to kind of, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I don't want like I could see that. Like if you were kind of a superstition person and you're like planning your death, being like, well, don't spell my name on my tombstone. You know.
Such an Elvis.
No, I don't know.
That was all right. I'm not a good, I can't do impressions very well. But yeah, well, I could see that, especially because he was kind, a weirdo, it sounds like, it could be, or someone just fucked up and did their job wrong. That happens way more often than people faking their own death.
Yeah, but they would have fixed it. I mean, it's fucking Elvis. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you'd think. I don't know. You'd be that asshole. You'd be like, fuck this job. I'm gonna quit the next day. I don't know. Who knows? Disgruntled worker. Maybe he hated Elvis. He's like, he's a pedophile and he steals dance moves and music from black people. I don't
You could say the same thing about the fucking Beastie Boys. Not the pedophile part, thank God. But like, is it wrong to be like in like what is it stealing and when is it like I was influenced by this? You know
No,
what I
so
mean?
I'm pretty sure he ripped off very specific things that were very specifically somebody's. I can't remember because I didn't research this topic for this show, right now, but it was like songs that were straight up not his and dance
Well,
moves that were straight up not his.
yeah, but I will say this. So, okay, as far as I want to say this about the music thing because, like, first of all, I'm an Elvis fan. Like, I wasn't like not like rabid, but like people always say like, oh, either you're an Elvis fan or a Beatles fan. I would definitely consider myself in the Elvis camp. Now, if you said Elvis versus the Rolling Stones, I would definitely say the Rolling Stones. And if you took it one further and said Rolling Stones versus the Who, I would definitely pick the Who. So the Elvis is not in my hierarchy of like old time rock and roll,
Right, you don't
but
have like a Elvis collection or something, like, you know what I mean, with the clock.
no, but I mean, when I was in that band with Mike Vanderbilt, like we covered Jailhouse Rock, which was kind of more of a Blues Brothers thing, but we also did Burnin' Love, and like we would fucking blow people's faces off with fucking Burnin' Love. Like we
Yeah.
we fucking played the shit out of that song. So like, I mean, I'm a fan. I went and saw the movie. But like, I'm not. No, I don't have an Elvis tattoo or anything like that. I would like to. I've never been to Graceland, but I would like to go. I think it'd be kind of a cool trip. Um, but as far as the music thing, all this is all I got to say. Number one, as far as like white people playing like quote unquote black people music, I think that argument in itself is a little fucking racist. And I think, like I said, you don't have to look any further than the Beastie Boys to see that sometimes white people co-opt a black fucking what some consider traditionally a black form of music and do fucking amazing things with it. And then as far as the covers go, I'm no music historian, but I do know that like back in the day, it was a lot looser as far as covers go. When you listen to the oldie station, like there's like a lot of different versions of songs that were covered by artists in a very short period of time. Not like it is today, right? Where like if an artist today puts out a cover album or like if Lana Del Rey covers Sublime, it's like kind of an outlier. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it doesn't happen that much. Back in the 50s and 60s, where there just weren't that many rock and roll songs, people would cover each other kind of a lot. And because you're talking about things in the infancy of like publishing rights, did people get screwed out over money? Like, yeah, but guess what? George Romero got fucked over royalties for Night of the Living Dead. That thing's fucking public domain. Like that shit still happens. Like, you know what I mean? What not? I don't think that he maliciously like robbed shit from black people. Um, were his managers savvy? Probably. Were they interested in the almighty dollar more than artistic integrity? Sure. And that only lends credence to why he would want to get out of the music industry later on in life anyway. We know that his managers fucked him over in the end and had him fucking held hostage in that Vegas hotel for the last 5-7 years of his life or whatever. Um, so I don't know. And I refuse to comment on pedophilia in general because it's we know that it's a bad thing. I don't need to weigh in on that. You're not supposed to fuck kids. That's not the point.
Sure. I mean, but we're talking a long time ago, and some people use that. It was a different time, but he knew what he was doing. But he was Elvis. He could have anybody he wanted, even if that person was underage and not fully developed. Regardless, the music thing, I will comment on that. The issue is because I completely understand what you're saying. However, the part of it that you nor I can understand because we are not black people is that rock and roll music and the particular dance that Elvis was doing were things that black people were not just chastised for. You're talking about a time where they would raid their clubs and fucking lynch the band right in front of everybody. People fucking died to go dance like Elvis did and listen to that music. And then Elvis went and did it. And even though he was controversial because of the things that he was doing, and there was, of course, a lot of people that were like, oh my God, that's so terrible. He won, right? At the end of the day, he won. He wasn't at risk for being lynched out in the front of the town in front of everybody. He didn't have that issue. I can't think of the particular cases. Like I said, I didn't research for it, but that is the difference there. Is that, people actually died to partake in that, whereas white people didn't really have that risk. So that just goes back to like generational racism and trauma, which is just not something, like I said, that you or I as white people can really understand. And that's why I leave it at that. I'm not going to continue to argue for it or against it because it's not my place. But I just wanted to note that I'm aware of it. And that's it. That's all I needed to say about it personally.
Yeah, I'll let you get the final word on that one. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Sure. I mean, it's not our fight. You know what I mean? So that's I'll leave it at that. But that is and yeah, he was a pedophile. I mean, that part's just true. I mean, sorry. Was he a huge figure in history? Absolutely. It's very silly to pretend like he wasn't just because he did bad things. A lot of big figures have done some really terrible things. People still do bad things. But he did influence a lot of things. Fucking Bill Cosby's a perfect example. Look at how terrible that fucking guy was. But Bill Cosby also sent so many people, so many black people to college and did a lot for his communities and things like that. I mean, he still did good things, but then he raped a bunch of women. That's not good either, And so, I mean, I think people get confused on cancel culture and kind of what that means. I mean, it's not saying that we should just completely get rid of the fact that they have done things that were important or notable, because we shouldn't. Those things were still important and notable, but it's still kind of taking the time to acknowledge that they still did bad things.
I think I find it frustrating too, and this is interesting how this is kind of coming full circle. But like going back to the Pantera thing,
Sure.
it just sucks when like and not to make this all about cancel culture, but I think you're absolutely right in your assessment of Elvis, and I think we need to be realistic about history.
Right.
And some people just don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear that their heroes did bad things, and they don't want to hear that like, oh, now I can't like this anymore. And there are people out there that don't make that distinction. There are people out there that say, no, we have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We can't separate the art from the artist, and everything has to go. Um, I don't think that that's necessarily true, and I think that if you look at people that aren't famous and that aren't famous artists and that are just run of the mill everyday folks, you know, I've done some bad shit in my day. I mean, I never
Sure, we're
fucking
human.
co-opted rock and roll from fucking black people or was a pedophile, but like, you know, I don't exactly have a clean record. I'm sure my wife could get on here and talk about tons of terrible things I've fucking done. But you know, that's people, that's being human. And I think where it gets frustrating is when people forget that they themselves are human and not perfect.
Right.
And I think that there's some instances where some people are so critical of other people that when they do fuck up and something does come out about them, that we just kind of celebrate it because there's nothing we love more than knocking people off their high horses, you know? And that's why I have a tendency, knowing my past being what it is, knowing that I'm kind of a fucking asshole. Um, it takes a lot for me to come down on somebody, just because, you know, hey man, like
You're more
I
forgiving.
well, I think I'm more understanding of the human experience than some people are. Some people live in bubbles, and it's really easy for them to criticize anything they don't understand. And if you've never made mistakes, or you've never known people to make mistakes, or you've never asked for redemption or given any or forgiven anybody, then yeah, it's really easy to be a fucking hardline motherfucker and be like, no, you know, fuck these people, fuck this band, fuck this artist, fuck all this, you know, forget everything they did because you know they did this and this, the gravity of this outweighs the gravity of that. And I don't think it's about us passing judgment as much as just fucking telling the truth and being able to look at the whole bloody mess of some
Right.
people's character, you know. And Elvis is one of those people, potentially Pantera is one of those groups too. I don't know if what racism shit they did, if they did anything, or if it's just it's no longer in vogue to be a southern rock and roll band. I mean, Leonard Skinner still seems to be able to tour and no one gives a shit. But like, who knows? You know? Um,
I think when it comes to cancel culture, the thing about it is that it is personal. Now you got people that are just extremists and they jump on the bandwagon because, like you said, it's something to do and they love it. But I think at the end of the day, it comes down to your personal preference and where your moral goal points land at. So, like with me, pedophilia doesn't get a pass. I'm very strong. I feel very strongly about it. That's because I was a victim, you know. And so and probably other people that feel very strongly about it are also victims. And what I mean by that is like the 17-year-old girl. Like I'm not talking the 7-year-old girl, you know. And
yeah,
that's to some people the 17-year-old is a gray area. For me, that's a hard stop. And I can't reason. My traumatized brain can't reason it otherwise. I can't rationalize it any other way. It's extreme for me. But that's because that's my personal experience. Um, and I think that just with in general and with canceling people, that's how it is. I mean, it's kind of up to you to decide to what degree you're willing to forgive somebody because we all make mistakes. Listen, if you go back, I have like these notebooks from high school where we used to write notes to each other. And if anybody ever reads that shit, I'm fucking canceled because the humor that we had when I was a teenager is absolutely not okay now. It's just not okay. And I'm not trying to excuse it and be like, well, it's a different time or whatever, but we thought that it was okay then. And now it's not okay. And I know that it's not okay. That's another measure of it too, is if that person ever seeks redemption, right? If they're like, oh shit, I fucked up, I did something wrong. And then they try to redeem themselves for it because that, you know, you do have to be accountable to your own actions. And Elvis is dead, or maybe he's not dead. I don't know. But maybe he's not a racist anymore, or a pedophile. I don't know, you know. But again, it's a personal thing. And I stay out of it mostly because I realize that it's a personal thing. And if any of us had the one answer of what was morally correct and what wasn't, then we wouldn't be fighting about it. It would just be that one way, and it isn't. So obviously, none of us are 100% right about it. But that's just, you know, that's my thing about it. So anyway, Pato, do you think Elvis is still alive?
uh, so I just did a Google search and the lead singer of Pantera says some pretty crazy shit on Twitter. So
Oh, so he's definitely a racist.
let me put it like this: I wouldn't say that shit. I think it's. I'll read it to you afterwards. I
Oh
don't want to read
God.
it now. I don't want to read it now. I feel like I
No,
should.
don't read it now. Don't.
No,
It's
just
no, skip
just
it.
I'll just say this: if you guys, I hate like teasing the audience like that. Just Google Phil and Samuel Juneteenth
Oh God.
fucking Twitter post, and
I can only imagine.
I mean, I think he's deaf. Oh, I don't even want to. I don't even want to apologize because he's Southern. I think he's just. I don't know.
And
Well,
you saw it and you decided that there's your moral goalpost and he passed it.
I mean, I get it now. Let me put it like this: everybody that like gave me shit on Facebook for being excited about the Pantera tour, I guess I get what you
So
guys are
Pat is
saying.
canceling the support group.
No, no, because I think we need community more than ever now. We need to come together and try to reckon with Phil Anselmo and his just goofy shit that he fucking says online.
If you
It's
were
not.
victimized
Let
by
me
Pantera's racism,
no, it's not. Let me put it like this. I mean, this is actually very. I'm from the South Side of Chicago. This is very much what a South Sider would say. It is not hateful. It is not hateful. Is it incredibly insensitive? Yes, but it's not hateful. I believe my take on it. I don't think this man has hate in his heart, uh, but I think that he definitely lives in a bubble. And sometimes whatever. We're not here to talk about Phil Anselmo from Pantera. We're here to talk about Elvis, right? Much
sure.
less polarizing figure. So no, I'm done for this week. I need to. I don't know. It's too many fucking white people.
Too many white people. I agree. That's a problem.
White people in rock and roll. I'm sorry.
That's true. That's the problem with Elvis. There needs to be more black exposure for the people whose ideas these were originally, and that's the issue.
Sure, sure,
anyway, at least we agree on that. But you didn't answer the
sure.
question. Do you think Elvis is dead, or do you think
Oh, I'm gonna
nobody's
say
judging you here?
I'm gonna say maybe. I'm
Okay,
gonna say probably. I'm gonna say 75% sure he's dead. 25% why not? Maybe still. Honestly, though, at this point, even if he did fake his death or there's some shenanigans there, he's probably dead anyway.
just of natural causes. Yeah,
Yeah, at this point, I mean, it's been 40 fucking years, 45 years
since he
since he
died, right?
faked his death. But he was
Since he
40.
faked
He
his
would be in his 90s now. There's no way that dude lived that long. No fucking way. You know.
maybe. I mean, if he's in it, if he's you know if he's conspiring with aliens, then he could be.
I will say this though: Elvis faked his death from a heart attack at 42 years old. I'm 41 years old. If I die of a heart attack next year, investigate.
Okay.
I might fake my death just to get out of paying child support. I'm gonna go move to Wisconsin. I'll live on a farm.
That's not very far away from where. No, you got to move
Well,
further than that.
you want me to come to Dayton? I'll come to Dayton.
Oh, Jesus.
No, I'll go for Milwaukee. I'll go start a new life in Milwaukee.
Get you a new name. I mean, you're good at that, except you tell fucking everybody. You'd be terrible at faking your own death.
Oh, I'd delete my Twitter account and then make a new one. That's exactly what I would do.
I know, and you'd get on there and you'd post some fucking cryptic quotes and be like, from Dr. X or some dumb shit like that.
Right.
Everybody would be like, well, there he is.
I tried to get a job as a gynecologist in Milwaukee.
As Frank, California.
Frank, California. Doctor Frank, California. I just combined all my different personalities.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Dr. Frank Patrick, California X. Anyway, I don't know if Elvis is faked his own death or not. I don't give a shit if he did. If he did, good for him.
Right, I don't give a shit.
But he probably didn't. I mean, he probably just died, and people couldn't accept that, and so they just, people look like Elvis. It just happens. People look like people. I'm one of those people. They're like, oh, I thought I saw you at such and such. I have a doppelganger everywhere, and I'm never at any of those places. So I don't know if there's like a clone of me running around. I don't know if somebody's impersonating me. I'd like to meet her. I haven't yet. But I think that probably I wouldn't even recognize her if I saw her.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't think about it. Just like you do. You go to the gas station, you see people, you don't think about, what you're looking at. You're just getting in to get out, whatever. But anyway, I don't know. Like I said, he probably did die, and people probably really thought they did see him. But they didn't. It was just some guy that looked like him. So,
right.
That's what I think about that.
Okay.
Well, any closing thoughts? Is that all?
No, let's end this so I could read you this Phil Anselmo tweet.
Oh, Jesus. All right, guys. We'll see you back here next Wednesday.